and welcome back to VexGo STEM Camp. As you may remember, my name is Audra and I'm one of your Vex Camp counselors. So far in camp, we've built a lot of cool stuff, right? We built a supercar, we built a moving claw, we even built super tall towers. Well, guess what? Did you know that with your VexGo kit, we can also build creatures and animals that can move on their own? Well, guess what? What we've got in store for you today is gonna knock your socks off. Get ready to have some fun with Flopper. All you're going to need for our session today is just your VexGo kit, and you wanna make sure that you have your battery from your kit charged up because we are going to make our very first motorized build today. So we're going to need that battery so that our build has power and our Flopper creature can move. And wait till you see how it moves. Oh my gosh, you're gonna crack up. All right, are we ready to get started building? Let's dive into the build instructions. As always, I'm going to have the build instructions opened up here on my computer and you're going to follow along to build with me. If you'd like to also have the build instructions open for yourselves, you can do that in a separate window or on a separate device. So here is what we are building today. Everyone meet Flopper. Flopper, meet everyone in STEM Camp. This is our VexGo creature of the day and you can see he looks pretty spiffy, right? All right, let's get started and let's get cracking on some building. All right, let's jump right into step one here and get started on this building. Well, this is a new piece we haven't used yet. Right here in this image, we can see that we are going to need one of our motors. Our motors are located in the electronics bin. You have 3 of them. You just need one of them. We're going to take out that one motor. And we need 4 pins. So I'm just going to go ahead as usual and take out my jewel case with my pins in it and just leave it open the whole time. Now, where are these pins going? It looks like they are going in the rightmost holes right there. 1 and 2. And then let's take a look at where the other 2 are going. The other 2 are going to go in the leftmost holes right here. So let's grab 2 more pins and we'll stick them in just like that. There we go. So we're using a motor. Now you'll see this motor has a cable. This is going to be able to connect to our power source and our switch. But we'll get to that a little bit later. All right, this is a new piece for us and we have this little eyeball symbol that's telling us to pay close attention. We need a gray pin and that's going to go into this shaft. So our gray pins are going to be in this jewel case that has all of our other shafts and gears, and they look just like this. And just like our green pins that have a short end and a long end, you can see that the gray pin has a short end and a long end also. So we want to stick the short end into our motor shaft. That's this green spot right here, just like that with the pin end sticking out. Okay, there we go. We can see that. And we can see that the pin end should be sticking out just like it is. Okay, next up, we're going to put our motor to the side. And we are going to gather a white large beam and 2 pink pins. Again, those pink pins are going to be in this same bin as our shafts. So let's get out 2 of those. There they are. And let's see where those pink pins are going. I'm going to turn this around a little bit so that way we can see that they need to get inserted in the 4th and 5th hole in the center row from the right. So here's my center row, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to actually lift this up off the table so that I can stick this all the way through. 4 and 5. So we should have 3 holes on the right and 4 holes on the left. And then you want to make sure that your pins are sticking through to the other side. Okay, next we need some yellow connectors. Your yellow connectors are all the way up at the top of your electronics bin. We're going to need 2 of those. Just like the other connectors, they have a flat side and a bumpy side. So the eyeballs here in our build instructions are telling us to pay attention to how they are oriented. So let's start here. We'll watch these go in. We're going to stick 1 connector with the flat side out in the last 2 holes on the right side of our white beam. Then we're going to stick the second connector with the flat side facing up in the second and third holes from the left on the top. So right up here, flat side facing up. We should have the bumpy side on the bottom there, flat side facing up, flat side facing out. Okay. All right, now we're going to attach our motor to this beam. So let's make sure we're holding the white beam in the same orientation that it is in the picture, and we're holding our motor in the same orientation that it is in the picture. So our wire from our battery should be sort of on the top, and the shaft part should be on the bottom. All right, so let's take a look at where these are connecting. Now, if I turn this around, I can see where everything goes. So directly next to these yellow connectors here, we are going to stick our top red pin, and then the gray shaft is going to go diagonally right next to that. So if I line it up, I should be able to see that my red pins line up here next to that yellow connector. My shaft goes in there, and then I have two red pins that are going in between my pink pins right there. So just like that is how it should look. So you can take a look at that, make sure you've got it just like that. And again, if at any point you need to pause the video and go back and watch something again, you can. We want to make sure that everybody is having the camp experience that works for them. All right, we have another symbol in our build instructions that says 2x. That means we're going to do this 2 times. So we need to get out 2 of our blue gears, and we need 2 of our capped shafts. So these are also in your shaft bin, but you'll notice they don't have a color on them. All right, so our capped shafts look like this. They don't have any colors associated with them. They just have a flat end on the one side. So now we're going to insert our capped shaft in the center of our gear on the recessed side. So you'll see your gear has a flat side and it has a little bit of a recessed side. So we're going to press it through so that the capped part sticks right in there in that recessed side, and the shaft part sticks out. And then we're going to do that 2 times. So I'm going to pick up my other one and stick it all the way through. You might have to give it a good little push to get it through there because it's a square peg in a square hole. So we have to just stick it in. Alrighty, next up, we're going to add some gears to what we've been building so far. So we need a shaft collar here, and we need 1 of our blue gears with the capped shaft. And let's take a look at where that is going. So I'm going to rewind that step so we can see it one more time. Looks like we are going to stick our shaft here in the second from the left middle hole on our white beam. So I'm going to hold this white beam the same way I see it in the picture, right? Just like that. And then I want to stick this capped shaft through that second hole from the left. So 1, 2 in the middle, right there. And then on the other side, in order to hold that in place, moving my wire around, you can do that. Just be a little bit gentle. We don't want to pull it out of the motor or anything. I'm going to stick that shaft collar on there. Sometimes when I do that, it pushes the cap shaft out the other side. So you always want to make sure that you're squeezing that together. And now it should go together and be held in place and be able to spin. Okay, so now we can take a look at this and we can see that we have our blue gear in the right spot. And right next to our blue gear are 2 pink pins. Wonderful. All right, moving right along. Here, we need 1 of our gray plates. These are right here. And we need, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's take a look at where we're going to put these pins. I'm going to animate this step and then we'll look at where they land. So it looks like we need 2 pins in the top 2 corners, 1 in the left corner, 1 in the right corner. We need 2 pins in the bottom 2 corners, 1 in the left corner and 1 in the right corner. And then we need 2 pins in these center 2 holes on the bottom, just like that. There we go. Okay, next up, we need 2 spacers. And they look like they're going to go right on these pins on the top here. Hey, you know, when I put those together, they kind of remind me of eyeballs. How about you? All right, next step, let's put that to the side. Our next step is to grab a blue connector, again from the top of our electronics bin, and 2 red pins. Again, we're going to pay attention to the orientation here. We want the bumpy side of our connector facing us, and then we're going to put the pins in on that side. So the pins should stick out on the same side as that bumpy part of the connector, right? The flat side should have our flat end of our pins in there. Now we're going to stick this into our gray beam, and let's see where it goes. It goes right underneath the eyeballs. So, and there should be sort of a triangle of empty holes above it. So we're going to go in the second hole from the top in the center row. So 1, 2, second hole right there. And you can see we have kind of a triangle of holes above it. And hey, look at that. I think we just made Flopper's head, everybody. All right, now we're going to add 2 more yellow connectors to these pins that are down on the bottom of Flopper's head. And I can see from the eyeballs that I need to pay close attention to how these are oriented. So I want these to go on with the flat side facing out. And I want my center pin here to be in the top right corner of my one connector. And I want the other one to be in the top left corner. So they should come out just like that and be perfectly symmetrical. All right, now we're going to attach this to our motor creation. Now let's make sure we have our motor component facing the right direction. I need to turn mine around. And now we're going to slide this whole head part right into the end holes right there. So there we go. So Flopper's head should be here. This should be a perfect right angle right there. Nothing should be sticking out past it. And now we've got Flopper's head with his motor in the back. Okay, now when I turn my whole component around like it is in the images, now you can see that there's 2 holes on the other side of the motor. We're going to stick 2 red pins in those holes. 1 and, whoops, 2. Okay. There we go. We've got our pins in the motor so that we can connect something to the other side. Now again, we're going to put that to the side and grab one of our white beams and 1 more of our pink pins right here from our little jewel case. And let's see where this one goes. This one goes smack dab directly in the center of our white beam. So we're going to put it right there. And if you want to check, you should have the same number of holes on either side. I've got 4 holes on the left, 4 holes on the right. I know it's exactly in the middle. Hey, this step looks familiar. We need 2 more of our yellow connectors. We're going to do the same thing we did before, right? So we're going to stick 1 yellow connector with the flat side facing up in the second and third holes on the top from the right. And we're going to stick the other yellow connector with the flat side facing out in the last holes on the left. So we should have 1 here, goes like that, and 1 that looks like that. All right, now remember that other blue gear piece we made? We're going to grab that and another shaft collar, and let's see how these go together. Okay, so let's take a look. We're going to do the same thing that we did before, where we put the shaft collar on the other side to hold it in place. Let's just take a close look at where this is connecting. We are going to turn our white beam around so that it faces the same direction. And then our capped shaft here is going to go in the second to the right middle hole, in the center row there, right through there. Now I'm going to remember to hold that capped shaft with my thumb so that when I slide on my shaft collar, it doesn't fall out. There we go. I can see it and it can spin and move. So it's all connected. Okay, now comes the tricky part. We're going to connect both of these sides together. So I'm going to make sure that my wire stays out of the way. And I'm going to make sure that my pieces are in the same orientation they are in the build instructions. So here I have Flopper's head facing away from me. And when I look at this very carefully, I can see from these pink lines that I want this to attach with These yellow connectors are going to go in the top holes here, and these 2 red pins are going to go right next to my pink pin. So if I try to line that up, I can line up the front part there and then make sure I have the second set of pins together, and it should just snap together. Now you can notice here that if I flip it all the way over, you can see I have a perfect rectangle on the bottom, right? None of the white beams are sticking out any further than others. So for this step, we need another blue gear, right? We're using a bunch of gears. We need a shaft collar, and we need something called a plane shaft. Now, unlike the other shafts, this one's a little longer. So this is actually in your kit directly between your angle beams and these large gray beams. So we're going to grab one of our plain shafts right here. This is a metal piece. It doesn't have any colors or anything on the ends, just a plain shaft. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick that through the flat side of our gear till it pokes out the other side a little bit. And then we're going to stick our shaft collar rather. We're going to stick our shaft collar right there on that recessed side, and we should still have a little bit of that plain shaft poking out. So it should look kind of like this when we're finished. And then we are going to use this to connect the 2 sides of Flopper. So let's see where this goes. There we go. Do you see where it's going to end up? So let's take a closer look at that. So now we want to be on this side. We have Flopper facing this way like he is in the image. We want to be on this side of Flopper. So if you're looking at the back of Flopper's head, this would be by Flopper's, basically by like his left hand. And we're going to go to the second center hole from the left. It's going to go straight through there. And you'll notice when it goes all the way through, it will stick out on the other side, just like that. So if I animate this step and then show it to you, see, you can see that it's sticking out on the other side as well. So now we should have Flopper with gears on 3 of the 4 sides. Aha! I had a feeling that was coming next. Now we're going to grab another blue gear. We're going to make Flopper nice and symmetrical here. So we are going to attach this last blue gear. Whoops! If it falls out, just put it back in. Remember, there's nothing holding it on right now. So we want to be careful there. And now we're going to attach this last blue gear with the flat side to our beam. And we might need to push it down a little bit. And then we're going to put a shaft collar on top of it so that now Flopper has 4 gears, kind of his arms and legs. You can push that shaft a little bit more through if you need to, if you want to make them perfectly symmetrical, but it's okay. All right, let's get to the back of Flopper. In the back of Flopper, we need 4 pins and 1 orange large beam. So let's grab our orange large beam and let's grab 4 pins. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these 4 pins are going to attach in the 4 corners of this yellow rectangle. So I'm going to stick this wire down through the bottom here just so it doesn't get in my way. We can move that around a bunch. So we're going to stick 4 pins in the 4 corners of this yellow rectangle. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And then we're going to connect this orange beam to that, and let's see where they connect. So they should also make a rectangle that's 1 hole in from the outermost hole. So I want to position these. If I start with the top corner and I count to the second hole from the right, I should be able to get it in there. And then you want to see it should make a rectangle, and there should still be 4 holes on the outer corners. Okay. What's next? It looks like we're doing the exact same thing on the front. So let's turn Flopper around, and we're going to do the same thing on the front. I'm going to put my 4 pins in the 4 corners of this yellow rectangle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to grab my orange beam, and we're going to connect that the exact same way. So that way we should have the center rectangle of red pins and still 4 open holes remaining. Whoop. Stick with me, Flopper. Okay, next up, we need an orange beam and 3 yellow standoffs. All right, I'm gonna set Flopper off to the side here and grab my orange beam and 3 yellow standoffs. So let's see where these are going. Oh, I almost missed it. Good catch. You saw it, I'm sure. A 2x. So I need this 2 times. I need 2 orange beams and 6 yellow standoffs. All right, and we're going to put those together the same way they are right here. So I'm going to hold my orange beam just like it is in my build instructions. And I'm going to stick 2 yellow standoffs coming off towards the right side in the top 2 holes. And then I'm going to stick 1 yellow standoff coming out towards the left side in the bottom hole, just like that. So you should have 2 flat parts and 1 sticking out part on the one side and the reverse on the other. And then we're going to do that a second time. So now I'm going to stick 2 standoffs sticking out of the right side of my beam and 1 over there on the left, just like that. Okay, next up, we're going to attach one of these pieces that we just built to a gear. So let's get our Flopper oriented here just the way that it is in the picture. So I'm going to hold my Flopper just like that. And now this piece can turn, right? So we want to pay close attention to how we are attaching this piece. It's going to go in the 2 holes on the left side of this square. So inside of our gear, see how it makes a square of holes right there? So we want to stick the double side of our yellow standoffs into the left 2 holes, just like that. Okay, so you should have 2 holes up and down directly on top of each other on the right and your yellow standoffs in on the left, just like that. I bet you can see how this is going to start to come together. All right, now we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So let's take a look at these here. Now these are going to go in the right 2 holes of that square. So we have a square of holes here. We're going to stick them in the right 2, just like that. You should have 2 still sticking out on the left. And now we have more legs. The start of some legs. All right, now those legs are not quite complete, right? So we're going to leave Flopper off here to the side. And now we're going to do this 2 more times. So we need 2 more orange beams. We need 2 red pins. And we need 2 blue standoffs, which are over here in this box. 1 and 2. Okay, so if I hold this the way that it is on the build instructions, I'm going to stick 1 red pin sticking out the right side on the bottom. Then I'm going to stick my 2 blue standoffs sticking out the left side on the top. 1 and 2. Then I'm going to do that same thing again. 1 red pin sticking out the right side on the bottom. Whoops. 2 blue standoffs sticking out the left side on the top. Okay. I bet you have an idea of what this is going to be. Were you thinking this was going to go on the front feet of Flopper? If you were, you are exactly right. So here we've got Flopper in the same orientation it is in our build instructions. And here we're going to attach these 2 blue standoffs to the right 2 holes of our gear. So they're going to go around that shaft collar. That's why we're using that standoff. And if your shaft is sticking out a little too far and it's causing a problem for it, you can always move that in. If it's in the way, you can press down really hard on that or just get a grown-up to help you if you need help. Okay, moving right along. We've got 3 legs, but Flopper needs 4. So let's turn Flopper around so that its head is facing the right side, just like it is there. And now we're going to attach these last legs in the left side of this square. So here we go. We're going to attach the 2 blue standoffs on the left side of that square. And again, you should have 2 holes to the right, just like that. Your other ones are probably going to move around a little bit. That's okay. Okay. We're getting there. This is starting to really look like a creature, isn't it? Okay, now we are going to do something kind of fun and funky. We're going to grab a dark gray large beam right here, and we are going to use it to connect these two legs together. So let's take a look at how that's going to connect. We should have the bottom right corner of our gray beam goes on the red pin at the front. And then the yellow standoff goes in the second hole from the left on the bottom, just like that. So you should have one empty hole on the left, no empty holes on the right. Okay, so that's one side. Let's see what happens on the other side. We need our other dark gray beam. We need to turn flopper over. And now we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to stick this bottom left corner on the red pin right there. And then we're going to align the yellow standoff. And again, you can move that a little bit if you need to. The second hole from the left. So here, we have second hole from the right, sorry. So here we have one empty hole on the right, no empty holes on the front. Okay, now comes the fun part. Now we need to add our last blue gear so that we can make sure that flopper can move, because you will notice that here we have this motor, but right now our motor is not connected to any of the gears. And that could be a problem, right? We want to make sure that flopper can move when the motor is on. So we are going to stick a blue gear right on top of this pink pin. And when you put it on there, you need to make sure that the blue gears are meshing together. So you might have to turn it a little bit to make it fit, but they should mesh together so that all the teeth of the gears fit in with each other. And if you move one, it moves all three. That's how we'll know that this is ready to go. Okay. Now we're going to turn flopper around. And we need 3 small red gears. 1, 2, and 3. And look at that. We have 3 pins sticking out here. So we're going to stick the 3 red gears on those 3 pins. Now we'll notice very carefully that there is a flat side to our gear on this side right here, and there's a little bit of a rounded side. We want to make sure that the flat side is going against the beam and the rounded side is facing out. And again, we want to be sure that we are meshing our gears each time we add one. So see how the blue teeth connect to the red teeth. Now on this middle one, I want my red teeth to connect to the red teeth right there. And then on this last one, I want the red teeth to connect to the red teeth and the blue teeth. So if you need to wiggle it around a little bit or turn some of the others to get it aligned, you can. There we go. But when it's all together, this one should be a little bit trickier to move. Why? Because it's connected to the motor. So that motor, that shaft that's connected to the motor is staying in place. So we want to make sure that everything here is connected as it should be. So you can give it a little wiggle and make sure that everything's moving like that. But it shouldn't move the way that they do as much as they do on the other side that's not connected to a motor. So now let's figure out how we get some power to our flopper. So on the back end of flopper, looks like we're going to build him a little something resembling a tail here. We are going to stick 4 red pins in the center 4 holes to make a square. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Next up, aha, another new piece. This is coming right here in our electronics bin. I'm going to stand flopper up. This is your Vex Go switch. So you'll see on top, you've got a switch. You can move it in 2 different directions. It has an orange port and it has a black port. That is to connect the battery and the battery on one side and the motor on the other. So first, we are going to build our switch so that way we don't have, if you notice, if you pull it to one side, it comes right back. So we are going to build something onto our switch so that way when we flip it, it will just stay on. So we need one of our small red beams and 2 red pins. And we are going to stick this into the handle of the switch. So now again, I'm going to make sure my switch is oriented the same way. So you should have the plus sign on the left and the minus sign on the right. I'll move Flopper out of the way so it's easier to see. Plus sign on the left, minus sign on the right. And then my pins go in on the opposite side. So that way they are facing away from me if I'm looking at this side of the switch. And I'm going to put 2 pins in there and then attach my red piece. So that way I've basically just made a bigger switch. Now over here on the right side of this orange shaft hole, we're going to put another red pin. And then we're going to put a yellow beam. And I think this is going to go in the very bottom hole of that yellow beam, just like that. So that should line up with the minus sign. If you have it on the wrong side, you can just flip it over. Then we're going to turn this around. We're going to grab 2 orange standoffs and 1 red pin. And let's see where they are going. So our 2 orange standoffs are going to go on either side of the center hole on this yellow beam. 1 right there and 1 right there. And our red pin is going to go in this hole to the left of the orange hole right there. So they kind of make a straight line. See that? Okay, next up, we need a green angle beam. Kind of looks like a little L shape right down here. And when I hold that up like this, you can see it looks like an L. And the 3 holes coming down the stick of the L are going to get connected to the 3 pins that are emerging here. Whoop, I almost dropped it. All right, 1 at the top, 1 in the middle, 2 oranges at the top, 1 red one at the bottom. Okay, next up, we need another red pin. We're going to stick it into the hole on the other side of that orange hole, and we need another one of our small red beams right here. And that is going to go in the bottom hole of our small red beam, just like that. Now we've almost spelled, we have kind of an L and an I there. All right, next up, another small red beam, 2 red pins in the 2 outer holes on that little beam, 1 and 2. And then we're going to connect that to the top hole here and our empty hole on the L beam. So you want to hold this new one at a diagonal. And again, your pieces are movable here, so we can move them to get them in place till everything aligns. And then you want to squeeze it in. If you disconnect something, that's fine. Just squeeze it back together. So now it should make kind of a little zigzag right there. And you can see that now when I move it, it locks and latches in place. And you'll see why that is especially handy once we get Flopper moving. All right, now we are going to attach this switch contraption to the back of Flopper. So if we turn this around, you can see it's going to go in the center 4 holes of the switch are going to go on these red pins that we put on the back of Flopper. So we want to make sure that the left side has the yellow beam, and we're going to just snap that on just like that. Okay, here we go. Now it's telling us to pay attention to that wire that's been floating around all the time. We're going to plug the end of this wire into the black port on our switch. So it's a black wire, goes in the black port. You're going to push that in until you hear a click. If you didn't hear the click, you can squeeze that top tab and pull it out. If you want to make sure, listen. There we go. We heard that click. It's connected. Okay, so now it comes time to add some power to our build. So we are going to grab our battery from our kit. If your battery's on the charger, you want to run and grab that now. Make sure you have your battery with its orange cord. So now let's take a look at how we are attaching this battery. It looks like we are going to have 4 red pins that are going to go in the 4 holes on the top of the battery. Okay, so if we look, we can see that our battery has rows of holes that we can use to connect pins to it so that way we can add our battery to our builds. So we're going to grab 4 pins here and stick them in this top row on the bottom of our battery. So 1, should be on the opposite side from your orange wire. So if my orange wire is on the bottom, I'm putting these in the 4 holes on the top. And then if I orient my flopper like it is right there, I can see that those 4 pins are going to line up with these first top 4 holes here on my yellow connectors right there. So I can plug them in just like that. So now directly behind Flopper's head should be our battery with the orange wire sticking out the back. All right, so now this is telling us where we're going to plug our battery wire in. So just like we plugged our black wire into the black port, we're going to plug the orange wire into the orange port on our switch, just like that. Okay, and guess what? We have just built our very own flopper. Now, before you turn flopper on, make sure you put all of the pieces from your Go kit back. So I'm going to put those pieces away. I'm going to close up my kit because when flopper gets loose, oh boy, he can make a mess of those little pin bins. All right, are we ready to see flopper move? I promise it's worth the wait. Now, let's talk a little bit about how this switch is going to work. I can flip the switch by hand, but if I use this yellow piece that we built onto it, I can lock my switch in place. And what does the switch do? The switch takes the energy from the battery, sends it through the switch and to the motor. This is really helpful because otherwise our motor would be going all the time. If we just directly connected the motor to the battery, it would be moving all the time. We wouldn't be able to stop it. And once you see Flopper go, you will know why stopping him is sometimes important. All right, are we ready to test it out? 3, 2, 1. Flip that switch. Oh my goodness! You probably want to make sure that Flopper is on a floor and not on a table. And when you catch it, you can turn it off. So there we go. Now that we've built our flopper, it is time to see some even more cool things that we can do with flopper.
Congrats on building flopper. My name is Elena, and again, I am one of your camp counselors for Vex Go STEM Camp. So now that we've built flopper and you've tested that the motor and the battery works as intended, we are going to do some different tests for flopper and then actually start modifying the feet of flopper so we can see all the different ways that flopper can move. So first, let's go ahead and test out flopper. On flopper, you notice that we have this lock here that'll hold, I'm going to hold this up, that'll hold our switch in place. For our testing, let's go ahead and just use the switch as it is. Let me move this all the way around so we go back to the middle. So now let's go ahead and test the movements of flopper. If we look at our switch, we have a positive sign here, and underneath this lock, there's a negative sign. So we're going to test how flopper moves when we press the switch towards the positive and towards the negative. So first, I'm going to go ahead and hold this so it's holding it to the positive. And we're going to watch flopper walk forward. Now, I like to hold on to flopper so he doesn't go running away just like he did with Audra as part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and I just hold on to the switch and the back and I use my thumb to press it over. So pressing it, it's flopping forward. Now, if I press the switch towards the negative side, I should see my motor spin in the other direction. If my motor is spinning in the opposite direction, that means my legs should move in the opposite direction. So let's go ahead. I'm going to press this. I'm going to hold it kind of with this switch. Oh no, flopper got stuck. As we do this testing, you'll notice that sometimes these wires get in the way for the brain, for the battery and the motor. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra piece to Flopper just to help these wires stay in place. Now, all we need in order to make this modification is an orange standoff from this jewel case here. So we just have one orange standoff, and I'm going to attach that to the battery so I can help wind my wires around this and keep them out of the way. While we're doing this, I want to disconnect the wires from the switch so I don't accidentally turn on Flopper. So in order to do that, you can press down on the little tab right here and then pull it out. So now my motor won't spin and I disconnected my battery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by winding this wire around the standoff for my battery. And then I'm going to take my wire and put it back down through the bottom and then come back up. Let's see. This might take a little bit of maneuvering. That's totally okay because we want it to be hard for the wire to get in the way of the legs. So we're going to wind this around, put it down, and then go up and back into the switch. You may need to move where the standoff is placed, and that's totally okay. It's however you need to in order to get this to be a little tighter on the wire so it doesn't flop around like Flopper. So now my battery is reconnected and you can see there's no room for that wire to wiggle around. And I'm going to do the same thing for my motor. I'm actually going to start by putting the wire up so I can wind it around the orange standoff, go around, and then put it back down through this middle part and then up to the side and reconnect it. So now my wires should stay out of the way of Flopper's legs. So let's go ahead and try that again. We're going to hold it to the negative and then hold it to the positive. And now Flopper is ready to move without running into any of those cords. Now Flopper is called one of our Vex Go creatures. So let me move my legs around so they're down. If we look at Flopper, we look at his face, the face of Flopper, it's got the little beak here. I like to think Flopper kind of looks like a duck. I don't know if you've ever seen a duck move, but generally both of its legs aren't up in the air at one time. They tend to flap around like this and waddle, 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 waddle as ducks move forward. So what we can do is we can actually start to change Flopper to have it match some movements that we've seen in other animals, like a duck. So let's go ahead and start by changing this. So instead of having the legs go flop, flop, they're moving one at a time. So while one is on the ground, one's in the air, move it around, just like this, just like how you would take a step too. You would have 1 foot on the ground, one in the air, 1 foot on the ground, one in the air. So let's go ahead and modify Flopper. So now if we look at Flopper, as I talk about Flopper, I'm going to talk about its legs kind of as these orange beams and its foot or feet as this gray large beam here. So that's kind of how I am describing Flopper or what I mean. So as we want to change these, so this one is up in the air while this one is down, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to unplug my motor so I don't accidentally turn anything on while I'm going. Now, if I move my switch, nothing's going to get my fingers pinched in any gears or between pieces. I want to look here because we need to move everything so this is up in the air. When I look, my legs are attached on the same side of the gear. They're both attached to the left side of my gear. Now, if I reattach this and I slowly move these, so this is up in the air, now I can see that both of my legs are attached to the right side. So let's go back down. So what I need to do, let me detach this so I don't accidentally move it anymore. What I need to do and what you need to do to follow along with me is to detach these legs using detaching the standoffs, and we're going to flip this around and make sure that our legs are attached on the right side of the gears instead. So I'm going to go ahead and try and pull these out together. Oh, I missed a standoff, so we can go ahead and pull that out. I'm going to put that right back on the leg here, right there, and then I'm going to disconnect this leg as well. This time I lost both of my standoffs. Oh my goodness. I'm just pulling these out with my hand, but you also could use your pin tool if you wanted to. So now we have our leg disconnected and our feet. And what we need to do is make it so that our yellows go in the back. So right now they're still facing down, but if you remember, everything rotates here. So we can actually rotate the legs and place it right back here to make our opposite option. So I'm going to put in my yellow standoffs first, and then my blue, remembering we're on the right side of our gears, but now everything is reconnected. How easy was that? So now let's go ahead and we're going to plug that switch back in. And now let's watch Flopper move with its legs in opposite positions. For this, I'm going to use my locking part of my switch. Let me put Flopper this way so I can easily catch it. And this way, so I'm going to turn on my switch. And now we're watching Flopper move forward in a way that looks much more like a duck. If we wanted to see it closer up or in slow motion, you could also slowly press this while you hold on. We see Flopper rocking back and forth, waddle, 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 just like a duck. So now we've made Flopper move like a duck. So now we made a really easy modification to Flopper to make Flopper move more like a duck. But what other animals could we make Flopper move like? Now, ducks only have those two legs that move back and forth, which is exactly what we saw with Flopper. But most animals we see walking around day to day have four legs. So what we can do is start to divide this up so we can use each of these orange beams as its own leg and actually design our own feet for Flopper too, and then see how Flopper moves. So for this, let's go ahead and grab our kit. Let me put this back away from our earlier modification. Now for what we are going to be doing, all I want to get is some pins from this case. Let me go ahead and move this one to the side. And then I want to have this case so that we can use some of the different pieces and shapes to make the feet for our robot. Now, like all good tests, we want to make sure we're making just one modification at a time before we test Flopper. So instead of changing all of Flopper's legs and feet, let's start with just one side to do this testing. Just like before, I'm going to disconnect the motor so that way we don't accidentally turn Flopper on while we're doing these modifications. The other thing that I want to do with Flopper is I want to keep the legs on opposite sides. So one is down while one is in the air, just because that's how most animals move. So let's start with just the one side, and I am just going to go ahead and remove this gray beam here. So this has been acting as our foot on this side of Flopper. Let me go ahead and I'm actually going to reconnect this because it's hard to tell what, whoo, oh no, this is why we have to be careful. It's hard to tell what the modifications are going to do or what the feet will look like when they're up in the air or to the side. So now I have Flopper's 2 feet or 2 legs coming down. I'm going to go ahead and put this gray beam away. And now we can start to think about what we can do to make this 2 feet instead of just 1. Actually, instead of putting this away, what I want to do is I want to measure out and see, I think it's the yellow beams. Let's check. Yep. So 2 of these large yellow beams is exactly the same size as this gray beam. So the very first thing that we can do is actually change the feet to almost match, but still be 2 different pieces. So let me go ahead and put this away. Oh, my kit's getting a little messy. Hopefully yours is in better shape than mine. Move those up. So now we can go ahead and attach these. So I'm going to attach this one to the back foot and this one to the front. And now they're almost like they're touching, but maybe I want my feet to have more space. I can go ahead and move this and put it somewhere more towards the middle. The one thing we really need to keep in mind for this is we need the bottom of our feet to be even with one another. So we want to make sure that we don't have anything sticking down or attach something like this, because then one foot is a lot shorter than the other one. So let's go ahead and test out this new modification for Flopper. Go ahead and move this to the side. Re-plug in that motor. And now let's go ahead and do the slow test for this one. We can see Flopper move forward. Now it's hard to see what's happening with these beams here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and use the locking switch. I'm going to back this all the way up so we can watch Flopper move forward and see how it walks. Now it's pretty uneven as it walks. You can see these feet are wobbling around a lot. They're moving, they're rotating as Flopper is walking. And last time I checked, there aren't any animals who have feet that go wobbly, wobbly, wobbly and go in a circle as you go through. So let's start to think about how we can make our feet more stable or more rigid, just like how we did with the tallest tower. So maybe these pieces aren't the best for us. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these. I'm going to put these yellow large beams back. And instead, when I look at my kit, I see a couple pieces that look just how I would imagine a foot to look. I can see here, this looks like 2 legs. If I get the other one out, this looks like 2 legs. Or you could have it like this, 2 legs. So now we can start to think about how we could attach legs using these orange ankle beams to Flopper instead. So right now we still only have 1 connection point for each leg. So just like how we did in the tallest tower, we're going to want to add extra connection points. Now for this, we only have 1 yellow standoff left. So I'm going to put that here so it's the same size as the other standoff. And let's start by testing our legs with the short foot. So I'm going to line this up so it's just the short foot sticking out. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add 1 more red pin. And I'm going to line this up so it's the short foot on this side. So now it actually looks like 2 legs with feet for Flopper. And he even stands a little better too. So let's go ahead and test out this Flopper modification. So I'm going to turn on my switch. And now Flopper, he moved around, he scared me. Now Flopper, if we watch this, is moving much more evenly and a little bit more stably. Now we saw with these orange beams, there's actually 2 different ways that we can connect them. So let's disconnect this and try it the other way with this longer foot. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to remove that from this side. You might need to get the pin tool out to remove your pins. And now we have both of our legs here. Now these are much longer feet, and I'm not sure exactly what that's going to do to Flopper. So let's turn it on. It's pretty similar, but I liked the movement of the shorter foot instead, personally. Now, something to notice now that we've made modifications like this is that if we really liked this modification here with these feet, let me move it around so they're facing a nice way, we cannot replicate that exactly on the other side because we only have 2 of those orange angle beams. So we're going to have to get creative with how we put pieces together to match this on the other side. Or you can start matching front feet and back feet instead of right and left. Now that we've tried all of these different tests with Flopper, modifying the feet, where the legs go, whether they're up and down in the opposite direction or in the same direction, your challenge is to go through and modify all 4 of Flopper's feet. When you test Flopper, it should move pretty smoothly and forward or backwards, depending on what position that you're moving the switch, but it should move in that intended direction, forwards or in reverse, with all 4 of those feet edited. Now, one thing that we talked about was just editing the feet. You also, if you wanted to, could change the legs themselves, which are those orange beams. If you wanted to, you don't have to. So your challenge, again, is to go ahead, modify Flopper using the pieces in your Vex Go kit to make Flopper walk like an animal. Did you have fun modifying Flopper? I know I did. I went through for mine and I moved the orange angle beams to the front legs, and then I added these green angle beams to the back legs. So it looks a little silly because I have a lot smaller foot in the back, but I love how it looks. Now, and I tested it, so I know that my Flopper, when I turn it on, moves forward just like intended. Moves so quickly. Now that you've modified Flopper, you've had a chance to do all these fun modifications and build your robot, it's time to get ready for our next session. For the next session, you want to make sure that you are prepared and you have deconstructed Flopper, put all of the pieces back in your Vex Go kit, and that you've taken the battery and put it on the charger just like how you learned about in the previous session. This way you are all set for our next great exploration with our Vex Go kit in the Vex Go STEM Camp. See you next time.